you've lost your friend and co-founder. You must be devastated.
Yeah, as you can imagine, it's been a tragic week and a lot of emotions running high. It's been difficult for me watching this from afar. I can't even imagine what it was like for the families of the crew or the OceanGate team that's been working hard to try saving the crew all week.
When you heard that contact was lost, did you think it was likely they were stuck, they were waiting for rescue, or did you think it was more probable that what did happen happened?
Well, as you mentioned, I haven't been with the company for 10 years, but I know that throughout our operations, we followed standard lost comm protocols. So there are systems in place and procedures in place for what to do when a sub does lose contact with the surface. So at the moment when I first heard that, I thought Stockton, who was the pilot, would have just followed standard protocol and surfaced the sub.
Did Stockton always go on board?
Not always. He was the chief sub pilot, but remember, this company is 14 years old. We've gone through three sub models in the Titan development program, starting with Antipodes and then going to Cyclops and then ultimately to Titan. And along the way, we had multiple different sub pilots. In fact, I did 72 dives on Antipodes before I left the company in January 2013.
It's reported that several former employees raised concerns about the safety of that particular vessel. Did Stockton take that on board? I mean, to go on it himself repeatedly, he must have been pretty confident in the safety.
Yeah, that's the thing about Stockton. You know, he was a talented engineer. He was a very intelligent person. He was a passionate explorer, but mostly he was a keen risk manager. He was very well aware of the risks of operating at these deep depths, and he was very committed to safety. And every innovation that he made as an engineer or in the dive operations, in his mind, was really pushing two things. Number one is expanding the capabilities of humanity's ability to explore the deep oceans, but also to ensure that it was done as safely as possible.
But when these concerns were raised, I acknowledge that you left the company some years ago, but knowing him and knowing how the company worked that you co-founded, would those concerns have been taken on board and investigated?
Yeah, I did even though I left the company in January 2013, I did keep in touch with Stockton, talked with him probably on a monthly basis. In fact, the last time I talked with him was 2 weeks before this current expedition to the Titanic. And one thing that always impressed me about Stockton is, as intellectual as he was and opinionated as he was, as are most folks in this community, he was always willing to listen to other people's opinions and evaluate them. And if you could convince him, he was willing to change his mind, which is fairly rare in this kind of field.
The particular employee that raised concerns about the safety says that he was dismissed after that. Do you have any perspective on that?
No, first of all, that happened after I'd left the company. And secondly, I wasn't privy to any of the underlying facts behind that.
You're still a minority shareholder, aren't you, Guillermo, of OceanGate? Can it survive this?
That is a very good question, and I'm sure that's what the board of directors will be considering in the coming weeks. I think right now the focus is going to be on consoling the families of the crew members and to help like I said earlier, the team that spent 4 days hoping that they could find their teammates and rescue them. It must be a difficult time for them, and I'm sure they're going to be spending the next few days, weeks, months getting over this.
Yeah, I mean, the families will clearly need consoling. They'll also have a lot of questions, won't they? Not least about safety procedures. I understand they had to sign pretty stringent waivers. Do you suspect that covers the company, that they signed away, they said, yes, we know that we're taking a risk? Or do you think the company may be somehow liable for negligence?
Yeah, that's clearly a question I'm not qualified to answer. Not only am I not working at the company, I'm not a legal counsel. So I'd refer to them. What I do know is every single person who went on any of our expeditions joined us as full members of the crew. They signed up as mission specialists. They went through training. They participated in the dive operations on the surface. And they had active roles as participants during the dives. Even though I never went on one of these Titanic expeditions, I know that was the intent behind each of these. And everyone who came on as an explorer was very proud of the fact that they were not passengers, that they were not tourists, that they were actually active members of the crew fulfilling a science and research expedition.
To your knowledge, does the company have insurance?
That's something I have no knowledge to answer. I'm sorry.
Where does it leave, do you think, the future for commercial deep sea exploration?
Well, I think this is a very small global community. Most of us know each other and we respect each other, generally each other's opinions, even if we disagree with them. And one of the things that concerns all of us is these differences of opinion may lead to people doing things differently in different capacities. And every time someone operates in an unforgiving environment like this, you run the risk of something going catastrophically wrong. And you hope that it doesn't happen for those folks, but you also hope that it doesn't tarnish the image of ocean exploration in general.
And given that it is a small community, to your knowledge, are other companies that are offering similar things, have they paused their missions?
That I don't know, and I'm not privy to any of that information.
And I also understand that Stockton had visions beyond just taking people to see the Titanic. He wanted to work with oil and gas companies and really push commercial deep sea exploration into lots of different areas. Is that right?
Yeah, and I think that's where it's important to separate out the sub itself from the business model. When Stockton and I co-founded the company in 2009, our intention was to create a small fleet of work submersibles that could take 5 people down at least 4,000, maybe 6,000 meters, and make them available to anybody who needed them, whether that was researchers, explorers, tourists, filmmakers, energy companies, military. The whole intent was to create these worked subs. And in that way, as our tagline was in the early days, open the oceans for all of humanity.
And so you think commercial exploration like this can survive?
I would hope so for a number of different reasons. Number one is that it's an important endeavor and humanity needs it to continue, but also to preserve the legacy of these 5 crew members who were all true explorers and unfortunately died something that they were passionate about and believed in.